What's going on, everybody? It's David Palmer, the Leo King, and this is my show, Uncut Astrology, going deep into the astrology behind the green screen. And this is going into the week of the big lunar eclipse in Libra. And this is happening right as we step into April. You know, the official eclipse is on April 4th. So this is for the week of April 2nd all the way until that next week, about April 6th. And this is it. Now, one thing I want to say, when I say this is it, doesn't mean it's the end of the world, doesn't mean that we're not going to go through crazy change in our lives in the future, but we are at a huge closing chapter in our lives, as for the last 3 years, we have had Pluto and Uranus in a square. And I'm sure you're sick of hearing about this if you're in the astrology community, if you've never been in it. Yes, this is the big Pluto Uranus square. This is what's made the last 2012 to 2015 so intense, so powerful. But it's very odd this week because before the eclipse happens, we have all this this Aries energy still. We've got the sun here, we've got the south node here, and it's Jupiter and Leo. There's a lot of fire. We still got Saturn and Sagittarius. There's all this fire that's kicking up. And this is really a week about hope. That there is a future of positivity. That there is a future where it might feel like we can actually, I don't want to say get back to normal, because I think we've been wildly changed forever. But in a weird spiritual way, yes, this is about that you can find some sort of common energy again that will feel like you are in a rhythm without being disrupted. These last 3 years have been extreme. I've been calling it the LSD trip of 3 years. Because Pluto and Uranus deal with extreme psychological, invisible energy. And when these are to clash, this makes shocks and awes. And these two planets didn't give each other a break. You know, when the square happens, it only comes 2-3 degrees apart, like not even 3, like it's like 2, 1, you know. We're just in the middle of bzz, 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 shock, your brain going through this, re-identifying this, re-identifying that, changing the way this is, pressuring you to be more courageous, pressuring you to try and reinvent yourself and to reinvent your whole soul's DNA and journey. This has been radical. But for some reason, the universe has a big bang this week of release. That this is it. We're having Pluto involved. Death and rebirth. This is endings, everybody. This is it. You've already felt it. This is a big change. This is a big new direction in our life. And this is about trying to find true harmony, right? We got the North Node in Libra. We got this big full moon lunar eclipse happening in Libra. We got the sun trining Jupiter. There's this big hope that has to come out now. There is the future to look at, that we can have love again. That we can find that inner child that likes to play and doesn't have crazy things going on. It always reminds me of a kid who grows up kind of in the streets with a bunch of gangs around. That's Pluto Uranus. You know, where it kind of is like, oh, I can't really be fully myself because I might get shot. Or I might get, you know, run over, or it's kind of like Chitty Chitty Bang Bang, you know, where the bad guy comes and, you know, he wants to get everybody, and Chitty Chitty Bang Bang's all about having fun, but then it just goes bad, you know, and it's like, oh God, you're always running away, you know. And this energy is about building hope now to overcome that. That when you go through a hallucinogenic experience and you become so wiped and you become so extreme and you become so changed, there is a weird period that you might not feel like you can go back to normal ever again. But it does happen. You do get back to normal. Now, you are changed forever, but you can go live your life again. You know, I'm not one to advocate drugs on here, but really, hallucinogenic experience is the best way to describe the last 3 years. And that when you think you can't get off the trip is right when you get off it. Right when we think we can't ever take any more and be battered enough and get rid of these kind of like cockroaches on our back, boom, the universe has hope, has angels, has everything ready to change it all. And that's what this lunar eclipse is about. But I want to keep this hopeful because Jupiter goes direct next week. And guess what? When Jupiter's at its retrograde standstill position, the hope is on its last leg. Now the sun is trining Jupiter, reminding us that it's building up as much hope as we can before we come into the storm. This is a big, wild storm. This is the boat literally coming in. And aren't you glad that the boat has learned to tame the storm? Aren't you glad that your soul has learned to tame bigger waves and go with it? So now you know how to ride big waves. That's what this has been about. But this is the last big wave coming in. But there's a lot of hope around with Jupiter, or positivity, or that we're supported. But it really is about fear. This is about control, letting go of control, because Pluto is involved. And there's a lot of us having to let go of the control, no matter how much we try and control the situation. This is where we really start to get a little OCD. This is really where we try and compensate for the craziness that's happening. This is the last big purge. This is the last big trip where it's like, whoa, I don't know if I could take any more of this, but you just have to do it anyways. But there is some sort of huge breakthrough through all of this. This is about reinvention. And I think what's very interesting about this eclipse is the eclipse happens on Saturday, and then Sunday the sun squares Pluto, and then Monday the sun conjuncts Uranus. So even though the eclipse is going to happen, it's going to be a 3-day event. I don't think until about Tuesday, Wednesday next week, when we come to the next Uncut, is when Jupiter comes direct, and we're really going to start to see some sort of, you know, great big door opening. What's interesting is if you watch my monthly horoscope, I break this down and show you what each week looks like. So make sure that you get that on my website, inclusiveastrology.com. But, you know, if we look at the month of April, April is the turning point. And this is the turning point in your life now. This is where the ship comes in the storm, and wherever the storm pushes us out, whether that's 180 that way or 270 that way, I'm talking in degrees, but like, you know, wherever that shoots us out is where we're going. So this is heavy fated moment, but there's a lot of endings. If you're trying to, you know, I always like to say, you know, hold on to a dead body with makeup and keep putting makeup on it to make it look good, but it's dead. This is where you need to like throw the body out now. This is like literally where if you know it's over, it's over. If you know, this is where you got to be honest with yourself. This isn't where you try to go against the grain either. This is a horrible time to try and go against the grain. This is a horrible time to try and go where you think is the best for you without listening to this other part of yourself that knows you shouldn't go, that knows that this is the road you really, really, really should go, which is going to seem harder, maybe even more alone, because that Libra energy too, this is going to bring up relationships more than any time we've ever had. This is going to bring up extreme relationship aspects. And which ones are dead, which ones are right? And your individual self and how well you handle your own individuality. How well does your own heart and love and happiness feel? We got Mercury coming involved with all this, which means our minds are about to be blown. Literally in this next week, Mercury comes into the eclipse, it comes out of the eclipse, it comes through the Pluto Uranus square, and it's like, blah! Like literally the universe is bam, bam. It's really making this last trip happen. But I want to tell you this. Always coming into this energy, we feel like we'll never be able to have it end. We always think we're going to feel crazy like this, but we're not. After this, and I think as we steadily go through the month, I don't think it's going to be like, the eclipse is over, I'm so changed and it's over. I definitely don't think it's like that. But this is literally over. That might not make sense, but it literally is, because what's coming up is, if you watch my monthly horoscope, it breaks this down, but if you watch by the end of this month, it will be the first break we've had in 3 years, this extreme. So, just know that your whole life, on a very simple way to put this horoscope, your whole life has come to this moment for where it's going to spit you out. Because where you get spit out next, sure, there'll be tough seas, there'll be more storms, but there won't be Category 5 tornadoes, hurricanes, and tsunamis happening at the same time anymore. You know, like that could become like, woo, and we've been through that. But you've mastered that. You've mastered now in your life, you've mastered how to handle the more extreme waves now. So everything else is just going to be like, I got this. Let's just handle this shit now. You know, because that's where we're at now. It's like you can handle this. You can take your life in the direction that you want to go. It's time to identify. It's time to reach. It's time to go. This has been extreme, teaching you to stay on the trail when it's crazy, to keep pushing forward when you think you can't. Imagine when the resistance has gone. Imagine now when the universe takes the weights off and you can start to swim. This was Olympic soul training. What do you think 2012 is all about? Olympic soul training. To come in. You just can't come into 2012 and be like, oh yeah, welcome, I'm so excited for the new age, without like knowing how to swim in the new age. You got to be tough for it. You got to be ready. And now that Mars is in Taurus, now that Venus is in Taurus, this eclipse and all this energy coming into our lives now is truly about building and creating and remembering how powerful we are from within and what is important to us. And as we move forward, there's an importance, there's a realization that we know with what we want to go for. We know what we deserve. This is about owning what we deserve. That God didn't have anything out for us, that God was making us stronger so we can get what we deserve. Because what we deserve is so high, is so powerful, is so great. After these 80 years in society and the way that the world has gone, we needed to reinvent ourselves to be stronger so we can be that much better. Look at the past on how amazing we are to have come here. Imagine about how amazing we are going to go after all of this, and especially after we see what this eclipse does to you. Thanks so much for all the support, everybody. I love you from the bottom of my heart. Check me out on my website, theleoking.com. You can access my Sun Sign Horoscopes, Daily Tarot, and much more. Or you can stream it at leoking.lookstack.com. Also get it on my Apple and Android app. Thank you, everybody, for all the support. I think I'm going to do a spiritual dance music very soon. I'll put it up on my Facebook. If you're not following me on Facebook, that's where I do all my alerts, or my Twitter, or my Instagram. You guys know me. I'm not one to like promote that social media stuff much, but honestly, I've got my Leo King Facebook group if you want to hang out with everybody. We almost got 6,000 people in the Facebook group now, and this is a free group. Everybody to get together and do astrology, and it's so much fun. I get in there, we post funny videos, we post all this stuff. It is awesome. So thank you all from the bottom of my heart. It has been my pleasure as a king to serve you and giving you inspiration and hope that this Sun Jupiter, this Sun Uranus, this Sun square Pluto, this lunar eclipse for you is all about your breaking point of your greatest heart, your greatest passions, but more importantly, your Olympic soul training to move forward into the best life you've always wanted. No matter how hard you think it is, no matter how much you think that the world's going to implode, that an apocalypse is going to happen, that you're going to die, that all that crap, you're crazy. Look at the astrology after this eclipse. See how powerful it is. Realize we got Jupiter in the mix, but more importantly, this is an ultimate test if you can go through the wildest storm of all time and do it smiling. Love you guys. I will see you on the next Uncut.